It's Sunday and it's the European Ham Radio Show. And I know this is the time of year where summertime, wintertime, whatever time changes. So we might not be on at your regular time, though, but we're still here. And Walt's back, and that's excellent because we're going to talk about how to buy your first HF radio. And Walt's going to say the G90, and we're going to be done with the show.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with him.
I'm going to surprise you.
Besides that, we're going to start with the ham radio moment of the week. And I know for me, there are a lot of ham radio moments this week. But Walt, what has been your ham radio moment of the week?
Getting out and operating Friday after work, got up and with my QT80, the Radioddity QT80 on 10 meters. And man, 10 meters is like right now, I looked at the maximum usable frequency map, the MUF map, and at one point on Friday, if it was daylight or gray line anywhere on Earth, 10 was open. It was just amazing. And I got out there with my QT80 on Friday. I put up a vertical dipole, and it was, with those 80 watts and that vertical dipole, and I was literally 10 meters from the, salt water. People were just like, holy cow, you're booming, everywhere I was at. So I decided I did something a little different. I usually hunt. I actually called CQ and I got a frequency, and boy, did I have a pile up. It was pretty cool. I was like working through that pile up on 10 meters. So it was really neat. I had a good time with that. So that was really the highlight of my week was Friday, just operating and going portable with that radio, with all those watts, 80 watts, baby. You guys know me, I'm a low power guy. Usually the 20 watts of the G90, but it felt good, man. I was like, I'm getting powered. I'm getting kind of like power hungry now. I think I might give me another 100-watt radio.
and let me see if I remember this correctly, Walt. You sold your 891, didn't you?
I did. I sold it to a very good friend of mine too. That's in my club in Virginia. I did sell it. I'll be honest with you. It wasn't so much the 100 watts. I'm not a fan of the Yaesu menu system. It just drove me nuts. And it just wasn't friendly.
They have a menu system?
It just wasn't a friendly radio for me. I didn't enjoy it. It's a great radio. I mean, there's people that say the same thing. Everybody knows I'm Mr. G90, but people say the same thing about G90. There's something about it they don't like. They don't like it. The filtering on it sucks or whatever. They don't like the noise or whatever. Or the screen's too small or whatever. Everybody's got their thing now that we're staying on topic already. Everybody's got their thing about it. I wouldn't mind. I mean, right now I don't need it personally, the power, because of where we're at in the solar cycle. But 2 or 3 years from now, I will get back and find that 100+ watt radio that I really want. You know what I mean? As we start moving towards solar minimum, and I'll find one. I mean, I'm not like, as much as we joke about, like how much I am about 20 watts or whatever, I'm not dumb enough that I understand that we're going to need some power eventually. We're just at the height of the solar cycle right now. So, but anyway, that was my week, getting back on topic.
Yep.
That was a highlight.
And James got a question here. If the G90 has a remote faceplate, and yes, it does.
Yeah, it does. I don't take mine off, but it does. It does.
And it does have a DB9 connector. That's true. I still have the cable here, even though I've sold the radio. And before we go on to Tobias, Charlotte's in the chat. And congratulations, Charlotte, for passing your license. And
yes, congrats.
Hope our last week's show helped you, and hope this show helps you. And the answer is, we can reveal that straight away. It depends. Tobias, how has your ham radio week been?
I did a lot of small things around the shack, but nothing really big. Let me switch. I had a small operation on my Guangshan UV K5, with the suicide electrical connection very close to the battery terminals. So I added a bit of epoxy to defuse the situation, and then I put the SSB mod into the UVK5 as well. So this is the small Flex PCB with the Silicon Labs, I forgot the number, 47 something chip, and basically it gives you full band HF receive on the little $25 handheld. So,
And that looks so doable when you look at it through a microscope, though. But this is really small, isn't it?
yeah, it's really tiny. And I thought about making a video, but then I saw the video from Paul, our friend OM0ET, and he did such a great job on the video, so that I thought, hey, what else can I do, right? That he hasn't already shown. Yeah, so I thought I skipped it and just did the mod.
Yeah, and but seriously though, it looks really easy when you see those zoomed in shots. But when you look on the inside of that radio, it's just so tiny. So I'm really impressed.
The microscope really helps. I think that's now, I don't know, second, third, or fourth time that I've used it, and it's really, I mean, everybody's getting older. I'm also getting older, yeah. So it's like the eyes are not. I mean, I used to be able to do it, very close, and as I'm short-sighted, that was also not a problem. But I think that, yeah, get yourself a USB microscope. That's what I'm saying.
Probably a smart idea. And speaking about people doing videos better than you, Bob did a video which he released earlier today that he did better than the idea I had in my head. You'll probably get to that when it's your turn, Bob.
Yeah, sorry about that. But you can still do the tracker.
I can still do the tracker. Thank you so much for that. I kind of promised my viewers that I'd do a install video of the LoRa APRS tracker and iGate, but I'll just link to your video instead.
Yeah, yeah, that's all right. We can do one each. Let's do Kjetil first before I start talking about LoRa.
Yeah,
it's nice. Nice to have some time to talk as well, Bob. Otherwise, we'll be here until tomorrow. No, as you see, we started up the Bunkers on the Air Association in Norway. A few weeks back, we had Carl, Mike Zero, India Charlie Romeo on the show talking about bunkers on the air, and been chatting with him after that, and decided to start up the program. It's going to be somewhat low effort in the start while we're waiting for them to spin up some central services and so on. So that was really fun. Found a few bunkers, dug through a lot of archives on what was a bunker when they were made and so on, and found a list of 25. And I can see that René has a question in the chat there about if there's anyone near Fagernes, and no, not at the moment. But if you know about any bunkers near there, feel free to send them to me, and I'll get them added in with coordinates and names and so on. So low effort so far. So yesterday, went out, did the first bunkers on the air activation in Norway, and that was a nice little pileup. 38 QSOs in 22 minutes or so. So nice and quick, good. 20 meters.
That's not bad.
Yeah, no, that was nice. It was a small, I think it's World War II bunker overlooking a highway in one of the old, big Norwegian highways, and beautiful place to sit there with the radio and just talk to people. So
awesome.
Yeah. So there's going to be more info on that coming up forward as I develop it. Very open for input from anybody with regards to sites, and if we need to do some sort of adjustments to rules to make it work in Norway and so on. So that's nothing is set in stone or as solid as a bunker yet, at least. But
good one.
Yeah, so that's the basic rule is that it has to be a modern bunker. So anything from 1900 going forward. So anything from World War I, World War II, or the Independence War with Sweden is going to be okay.
So you define modern as no older than 125 years, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I think that was the gist of it, but roughly like that. But also being used in that period is okay, because some of these things last for quite a while.
Yep. Bob, what's your moment of the week?
Can I just answer one question from the chat, or an issue from the chat, because James has the same problem with his 7100 as I do with mine. He has stopped putting out power, and that happened to mine as well. I'd like to tip you off to there's a YouTube channel called TEHRS Labs. I think he's a German guy. He speaks English. If it's not putting out power on VHF and HF, then your problem is fairly cheap to fix and fairly easy to fix. So go watch this guy's video, and he's going to explain to you how to diagnose that issue. Maybe I'll do a video when I do mine, but that's probably going to be sometimes in 2039 or 2040 or something. So I wouldn't wait for it.
It's
Should have bought P90.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't have VHF and UHF though. So
I'm just kidding, you know that.
but still in about 20 years' time, according to Shetter's definition, it's still going to be a modern radio.
Oh yeah.
It will. So, but ham radio moments of the week, I've done only one ham radio related thing this week, and that's LoRa APRS. We talked about this. Is it half a year ago, maybe more, on the show? And it turned out
it's about a year. It's about a year ago.
It's about a year ago, and it turned out that we weren't allowed in Norway to use LoRa because it uses too much spectrum. We had a limit, I think, 25 or 30 kilohertz, and the LoRa
30 kilohertz.
30 kilohertz, and the LoRa modulation that LoRa APRS used 128. But we got an exemption now for a slice of 70 cents from whatever the Norwegian government agency that's in charge of this is. So we are now legally allowed to use LoRa and the LoRa APRS on 70 centimeters. So both Morten, he's probably going to talk about that as well, and myself, we set up iGates and trackers and started playing with this. And that is impressive technology. It's really, really impressive technology. There's this little thing. Let's see if I can show it to someplace where it's not disappearing into this one. This little thing, it outputs 100 milliwatts. I connected it to the mag mount antenna on top of my car, and I have the iGate at home here connected to an X50 on my roof, and I drove around, and basically, unless it's an awful lot of geology in between you and in between the tracker and the iGate, then that signal's just going to get through. So I've had great fun with that, and I'm looking forward to doing many cool things with the LoRa APRS in the future, and I hope to get more people around here interested, so we can get up more iGates and more trackers. And I also did a small video on how to configure and do this, because it's really simple. Basically, you just you need a USB cable and something resembling a web browser. I think it's called Chrome. You can use that to program it. That's all you need. So yeah, go watch the video if you want to set one up. That's, I think, was my ham radio week, Morten. How's your ham radio week been?
Oh, I have a hard time choosing between the moments this week, because first of all, we got the announcement on Friday that we could now use LoRa on 70 centimeters effective immediately. So that was my first moment. Did pretty much the same thing as you did, but you didn't mention the kind of most important thing about LoRa APRS. The hardware is ridiculously cheap. I mean, for a total of $45.50 US, you can get started with both a tracker and an iGate. And for cost, that is expensive. You basically use the same hardware as Meshtastic. The other thing that I have a hard time choosing about is the fact that, thanks to Kjetil, we now have bunkers on the air. And I went out today. Did a joint parks on the air and bunkers on the air activation. I had a full pileup running for an hour and 27 minutes, 130 people in the log. And I was physically and mentally tired after the activation. That was just wild, to put it simply. And Renee says that his moment was a QSO with me. And thank you, Renee, for the QSO. And sorry about all the people that didn't get through my pileup, because as we all know, not everyone knows how to behave in a pileup. And I had a couple of those stations. I was about to turn off the radio at some point. It was really, really bad. And there was the usual Spanish station, and there's an Ukrainian station that somehow does exactly the same thing. Blind calls until you answer, and then you hope he hears you and haven't just seen your spot. Those 2 stations made the activation terrible. So, but besides that, great activation. But yeah, so bunkers on the air and LoRa APRS. I guess those 2 are my ham radio moments of the week. I'm going to dive into both, but now I don't have to do how to program your iGate video because Bob did that already.
And I actually promised to do the tracker video, so I can just refer to yours when that's
yeah.
out.
Let's do that. Let's refer our viewers to each other's channels and get that done.
Yeah.
So if you're in a country where LoRa APRS is legal, go ahead and try it out because it's awesome if you want to play with the technology. But now on to something a little bit bigger than LoRa APRS, and that's the YouTube channel of the week. Do you have something lined up for us, Kjetil?
I had at least, and then it disappeared. So that is very nice. I'm very professional. Let's see. That's why I sent it to you, so you could have it there. This one. And this.
See. There we go.
Yeah, one day I'm just going to have a Rickroll there, you know that. This is Sierra Alpha 5 Romeo Juliet Sierra. He's very active in the Discord, and he has started up a channel. And at least the first video here, really nice little intro into how do you tune a VLF loop antenna. And just hoping for more videos from that end with the same quality. It's fun to see these technical ones, and really nice to see YouTube channels coming out of Sweden.
Yeah, and guys, let's go ahead and give Rasmus a little bit more than 5 subscribers by the end of the video. Let's bump him up to, let's say, 30. That should be doable.
Yeah, and good friend of the channel, really active in Discord. So that kind of thing is it's fun to see this spreading out and more people also wanting to share videos. It's modern Elmering, as we've said so many times before.
Oh, absolutely.
Number 6. I just subscribed, so.
Hey.
7.
There you go.
I actually subscribed when he posted his video. So
Sorry, I'm late. 12.
Yeah. So no pressure, Rasmus. We're not pressuring you to make more videos. We just expect it.
Let's see if we can get monetized with one video and the European Ham Radio Show.
Yeah.
I thought you had 1,000 subscribers there, right? They can't do that.
Yeah, he needs 1,000 subscribers and some watch time. But if enough people watching subscribe, he'll get there. Besides that, how to buy your first HF radio, and we got a comment here earlier. I'm gonna see here because James had the perfect answer to that. You need a credit card.
Yeah, or PayPal or something like that.
I think.
Yeah.
I think the real question here to kind of get it going is, do you buy new or do you buy used? And I've done both on the HF side, and I've had, obviously everyone's going to have better luck with a new radio. I bought some used stuff that are, because the price was right, but when I got it, it wasn't what it was supposed to be as far as working and what shape it was in. So I know we didn't determine new or used, but I think that's a good topic to discuss as well between all of us, is what our thoughts are. Should you buy new or should you buy used?
Absolutely, and we can start with that because the answer here is most certainly going to be it depends. But as a new ham radio operator looking to venture into HF, I'd say, as we said last week, buy a radio from either someone you trust or have someone you trust that knows radios be with you in the process of getting that radio
from your club or from some club member. Yeah.
Absolutely.
People have the brand new gear on the desk and the previous generation under the desk. Yeah, so it's very easy to borrow, like for half a year, a HF rig and just see if you like it. Yeah, you might even be able to try different brands and make friends with the Yaeso menu system or not.
That's a good question. I mean, that's a good point. That what radio is easy, is user friendly to use as well. like I said, I like the FT891. I got no problem with it. I just didn't like the menu system. I can't imagine someone getting their license on Friday and going out Saturday with their brand new FT891 that they just purchased and getting on the air with it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
I have to say, with regards to that, if you are a completely fresh licensee, the first radios I bought was Yaesu radios of the name brand ones, and I didn't have experience with the menu system of the ICOMs and that sort of radios. I really didn't dislike the Yaesu interface then. I've started disliking it now that I've gotten used to the 705 interface, but I didn't know better. So if you don't know better, it's not really that horrible. It's worse when you come from a really good interface like in the 705. That actually makes it much worse when it feels like you're moving backwards.
Yeah, but just like, and gosh, I hate to keep saying this, but you know, I just bought my second G90. I took it out of the box, hooked the battery up to it, and powered it, keyed, and talked. You know what I mean? Of course, I know how to operate that radio, but out of the box, I didn't have to really do anything to it. You know what I mean? It came set. I know that's just luck of the draw, but you know, I've got a video out where I show all the quick start guide to that radio. You know, you could do that. You know, that's why I know I sound like a broken record. That's why I like that radio so much. So for one, in the United States, you can get it for $399 US, and two, it's got, you know, that's another thing. My first radio did not have, it wasn't an SDR radio. It didn't have a waterfall and all that. And I think that's an advantage of an inexpensive radio that with a very good price point with a waterfall on it as well. I wish these manufacturers out there would make a better radio than that for a right price. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why can't someone make a small portable radio like that with a, you know, with a screen on it, with a, you know, with a waterfall SDR or whatever that does 100 watts or so, and it's very beginner user friendly. I wish someone I've been looking for that radio since I became a ham, and I can't find it. It's just not there.
Yeah, you know? The G90 is definitely a good radio to get. But I was going to mention something else. If you join a club, they're most guaranteed a lot of people that are, let's call them, in lack of a better word, seniors in that club that has been in the hobby for 40, 50, 60 years. And when they see a new, and let's call a younger ham let's call the people that are 40 as younger hams. Let's be honest here. They really want to get the people into the hobby. And as Tobias said, they're going to lend you a radio. And more important than that, some of those people are going to give you a radio to get started and get familiarized in the HF world. And that's a good way of getting started. But another factor, because I see a lot of questions online and social media and such, and it's, I'm going to do BOTA. What kind of radio should I get?
Yeah.
And my answer there is, it depends. What kind of operating are you going to do? Are you going to operate from a vehicle? Are you going to hike for 10 miles or 16 kilometers?
Right.
Are you going to just walk to a part table? All those factors just adds up to what kind of radio you should get. There is no do-it-all radio on HF radios, as we said on HTs last week. So I think analyzing your use case or your most probable use case is probably smart. And besides that, you don't really know what your operating style is going to be when you're new into the hobby. Right. So I'd go for something inexpensive for first and see how it's done.
I think one thing, we're talking social media too. Everyone's got opinions and things drive things on social media for all of us. You know, older hands, newer hands, got whatever. One thing it makes me cringe, and I almost feel guilty is being part of it. Like a couple of years ago when the True SDX first came out, I got one right away. Went out and made a video with it. I had fun with it. Now I sat down before I went out on the video with it for 2 or 3 hours, went over other people's videos and learned the menu system, learned how to tweak it, learned how to align it, learned how to set everything up on it, and then went out and used it. And then I see, I had, you could probably go back and look at my videos. from back then. I'm brand new ham. I just got my license. I'm getting this. This is going to be my first radio. And I was like, oh no,
Don't.
please no, please
No.
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 And that's so, with the information that's out there, and not to put anything against that radio was so much fun. And so but that radio is a fun radio on a project with someone that's been a ham for a year or so and that kind of understands, what's going on with it. That's not the first radio that you go out with. So
you shouldn't get something that frustrates you, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're
I'm
new to the hobby
this.
and try to find your way in it, and then you get it's not against the true SDX. It's really amazing radio, and especially if you know this tiny flimsy AT Mega microcontroller in there, what Guido has done with the software and can get out of it, but it's not that's not a beginner radio, right?
Well, I'm guilty of this too, because we all as YouTubers, as ham YouTubers, we want to try the new stuff. You know what I mean? Like or the inexpensive stuff. I've done videos on the micro SDX or the USDX, whatever you want to call it, the true SDX, all these inexpensive radios, and I got out and made contacts with them, but it took me some work to get that to happen. And then you see all these people jumping on. I'm buying it. I'm like, whoa, hold off on that. You know what I mean? Like, if this is your first radio, this is not your, this isn't the radio for you. So,
and that brings us kind of on to Charles' question here. I just want to say, because I bought a True SDX, I ordered one yesterday or the day before. I can't really remember. But I watched Josh over at HRCC, and he said, this is not a good radio. It's a fun radio. It's a fun project, but it's not the radio you want to keep with you at all times. And once you've been in the hobby quite a while, you can afford to do those radios. You can have those radios that are fun, but not necessarily your daily driver radios.
I've got a good. So, let's answer Charlotte's question. That's a great question. You guys, I'm not sure where Charlotte's located. If she's in Europe or.
I think she's in Scotland. Actually,
yeah. I honestly, Charlotte, I would think. I don't know the price point for let's say the Zygu type radios that you can get for in the United States, $400 US. So we're talking a little over 300 pounds or whatever, up to. I mean, you really want to get a good radio. We're sitting here talking about Yaesu, but the FT891 is an absolute awesome radio to begin with. I'm not going to deny that, or an Icom or whatever. And what are we looking at there? 700-800 euros in that neighborhood over there for you guys?
Probably in that neighborhood. And then if you're going to use it at home, you need a power supply. So another 100 there. Plus, you're going to need another 100 at least, if not 200 in coax, and then you build your own antenna from scrap parts.
Now, if you want to get going quick right now, this isn't going to last you forever, but a good way to get your feet wet and to get into HF is to go get yourself a 10-meter rig, a 10-meter only, because 10 meters is just wide open right now. It will be for off and on for the next year and a half. 10 will be good, and you can get one of them for half of the price of any other rig they're out there, and you can get one with power. I'm actually editing a video right now talking about what we call here in the States export 10-meter radios. And you can get, what is it, the QT40 for $149 US. I don't know what you guys have equivalent. That's the Anytone Aries 2, I think it is, that same radio as the 10-meter radio. There you go. If I was going to spend, let's just say 150 euro, I would spend 150 euro on that radio that only does 10 meters way before I would buy one of those little $100 bricks, USDX, True SDX, whatever.
No, don't get those as your first radio. That's a project radio. That's a go out and have fun radio. And I'd say go for at least 20 watts.
Steve says a good shot in the UK for Zygu is 385 quid. So 385 pounds. That's I tell you what, everyone, and I'm too close to the situation because that's the radio I use more than any other radio. I own 2 of them. And so I'm going to be like the salesman for that radio because I love it personally. Everybody else doesn't. I'm going to admit it. It's not everybody's radio, but you're not going to get a quality radio to get you with a built-in antenna tuner, 20 watts is more than enough. And then I think, as a matter of fact, if your first level in the UK is 20 watts limited anyway for the foundation, I think I might be right. I knew it changed recently. I think it's 20 watts for foundation. There's your radio. That's the foundation radio right there, a 20 watt G90 for 385 quid. That's great.
I'm tempted to say it depends, but I'm also tempted to say that you're exactly on point there, Walt.
For her, she's a foundation. That fits like a glove. It really does.
Yeah. And an important point is, though, your first radio is not going to be your last radio.
That's the true statement.
The thing is, if you get the right first radio, it's going to last you a little bit longer than if you get the wrong one. And I completely agree with both of you. To get the G90 as the first radio, it's a very good idea. That's you're going to have so much fun, or you can have so much fun with that radio. Then I would, it was probably the first portable HF radio I had, and I don't use it much anymore, but I still love that radio. I would never ever sell it. But
it lets you make so many mistakes. It does, like with that ATU. You know what I mean? You can build an antenna.
And you can do so many things. You can you work all the bands, and you can tune just about any wet string to any band, and you can do digital on it. And it's a fantastic piece of kit for a very, very reasonable price. But I was gone for a bit. Did we talk about the 7300?
No,
we did not talk about the 7300. Because
I'd just like to be a little bit boring for a little bit, and we can talk about all the interesting radios after that. The boring choice for a new ham, a 7300. That's a really simple radio. It gets you on the air. Everyone's got them. Everyone can help you with them. It's a boring choice, but it's a really good radio, and it's a safe bet, and it stays. It keeps its value. So if you get tired of it, you can sell it without losing too much money.
Then again, the 7300 is in a different price range than the G90, though. It's more of a buy once, cry once radio, but it will do everything. Just to put it this way, I went through 2 HF radios before I figured out that I might as well get the 7300, which I don't have anymore, but that's a whole different story. I upgraded from that to a radio I thought I'd never buy, and that's the thing, though. Your first radio is not going to be your last radio, but the 7300, it's an awesome radio. It's really easy to use. It's got the waterfall, so you can kind of see and understand what's going on, and that's also a safe bet.
So how would you rate that against the FT991A? I mean, the benefit of that is you have VHF, UHF in it. Yeah, I don't know.
I have both radios, and I'd like to say about that. The FT991A, it's a better radio, every possible way. But the 7300. It's a much more enjoyable radio to use, and it's much easier radio to use. You don't want.
I think they're about the same price range, and you get 2 meter 70 centimeter with the 991A, right? Or
I'd much rather, because no new ham, and I might be wrong here, but no new ham is going to venture into the digimode and sideband on 2 meter 70 centimeters. So I think I'd go
we're talking HF.
But still, it's a valid point, though, because I'd go for a separate radio for 2 meter 70 centimeters and HF rig and probably a 7300 if you have the money for it.
And it is significantly cheaper, the 7300, than the 991, at least as far as I've seen. It is, but absolutely, it's a much better radio, but it's not nearly as enjoyable to use. So especially if you're new, especially if you might think that this is hard, and you might lose interest because it's hard, get the 7300. It's not hard. It's really easy to use. It's a really nice, enjoyable radio to use. So safe bet. If you have that kind of money to spend, you won't regret it. And if you do regret it, they keep their value very, very well. You're not going to lose a lot of money if you need to sell it.
And I think I just stumbled over the successor of the 991A. It's called FTX1F. Did anybody ever see that one?
I have that on pre-order. Yes.
Of course you have. What a dumb question.
That is a QRP rig, Tobias.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
that's the Asus 705, and that's going to be glorious.
Yeah, okay. That's the 705 competition. Yep. So maybe not for the beginners, right? They should go 20 watts or above.
Or more. Yeah,
maybe.
I'd say so. I got a couple of cheap radios on order. So give me a couple of months or at least a month and a half, probably, depending on shipping times from China. And I'll be able to say if those radios are beginner radios or not. But the 7300, it's just it's an amazing radio. And once you know that, you can try to venture into the fun project radios, the cheap radios, the kit radios, and use those as a supplement.
One thing that hasn't been mentioned yet.
I mean, it's quite an investment, right? You're a new ham. You're just getting into the hobby. You have 1,300 euro or 1,000 euro spare if you buy one used. It's a big chunk of money. At least for me, it would be. You got a good point. I'm going to address your point first, and then come with my idea. Because when you get started, a $400 or €500 US dollars pound investment sounds scary, but trust me, give it a couple of years, and that will not be scary. Your limit on money you want to spend on the hobby, it shifts, and it shifts faster than you'd like to admit in some cases.
Martin, you guys have something similar here in the States? We have. It's called a firm or 4-pay. You know how you can split your purchase up in 4 payments or 6 payments or whatever. I've found that just about every radio I've bought in the last 2 years, I've done that. So let's just say like the G90 I bought, instead of paying $399, I split it into 4 $100 payments, over 4 months or whatever. That's probably something that a lot of newer hams might not know about when you look for a seller of a radio. That might be an advantage to somebody. I don't know who in the UK does that. If ML&S or whatever, or any of those guys do that. But I know, like for me, some of the sellers here in the States have that, and it's almost a dangerous thing because as soon as I get my Affirm paid down to zero, I'm like, all right, let's go get a new radio.
But seriously, that's a point. Though, would you like to pay it with cash up front, or would you like to buy it on credit? And I'm not going to say it depends. That really depends on your personal economy. Chris got a point here, though. Your first radio should be able to do digital modes easily.
Yeah. I disagree, but go ahead.
And
I'm not a hater. Don't get me wrong, but that doesn't have to be your first radio. I mean, unless you want to be a digital operator, then it needs to be that. But I've been a ham for a while now, and I've never operated digital, so I disagree. There are a lot of new hams that don't give a flip about digital.
We're gonna get you on FD8 at some point, though.
But I actually fully agree with this because I know that for some people making a cable is trivial, and making a completely extremely simple cable may be trivial for so many hams. For a new ham, for example, for me that doesn't come from an electronics background, making a 3.5 millimeter jack cable and just reading a connection scheme for that is scary because you think, am I going to break my radio? Am I going to fry something?
I just spent $700 or something on the radio. And now will I kill it with my inept cable, right?
Yeah. Then again, you have a club that could probably help you. But in here, getting something that's USB only, that's something I really miss from the G90, by the way. Which I do love on the X6100. That makes your life so much easier, and it makes you able to play with it if you think you're gonna do it. For some people, doing SSB or FM or whatever you're gonna do, or Digimos like CW, something like that. If you're gonna do that, then you don't need it. But if you're gonna do FT8, if you're gonna do contesting, then you really need to have some sort of control over your machine. And making that simple is another important step.
Yep. And speaking about the G90 though, Saigu got the DE19 interface, which is replacing the older CE19 interface, which even though you buy a circuit board, you need to solder and add an external sound card and such. I got that on order. I'm going to see if that actually is a workable option. Besides that, you can always use a DigiRig, but when you're new, all of those options can be scary.
Finding a DigiRig and the correct cables for it is it is easy enough if you know exactly what you like, what all of the keywords mean. But there's a lot of things that it may work for that radio, and another one may work for another.
Yeah.
So that could also be daunting. Like it can scare someone off.
That is daunting for even experienced Sams. I'm trying to find the right DigiRig cables for an older Tentec Orion that we got in our club shack, and trust me, that's no easy venture.
Yeah,
I still think that there's so much to ham radio to say it has to have digital is wrong, because I personally, I don't operate digital, but I got nothing against it. I don't operate 70 centimeters. I don't do all that either. I got nothing against it. The thing is, there's a lot of people like me that are just HF voice guys. So to say that it has to have that is kind of crazy. I think if you're going to be a digital operator, yes, it has to have digital. But if you're just a guy that came out of the 11-meter world and wants to put your voice on the air on, 10, 12 through, 160 meters, work it, then your radio doesn't have to be that. That's where you might want to go look at an older used radio. If you find somebody that, can, an Elmer or whatever that can assure that the radio is in good shape and it'll work, that's fine. Yep. But like I said, I don't want to get accused. I think digital's cool. I just don't have time. I got too much other I'm doing. And it's just not what I enjoy. I enjoy talking on the air with my voice. So, I mean, Marconi spent his life trying to get the human voice over the airwaves, and now we're taking it away. So,
yeah, it's a nice way of looking at it. I completely agree with you, Walt. It's not a requirement, but you really should think, if you're the kind of person that think you may want to do digital, and if you're the kind of person that you're scared by having to make your own cables, then by all means you should get a radio with a USB interface with both sound and radio control.
Yeah, we're back at the 7300, right?
There's an awful lot of radios fitting that category. But if you're not, you don't. There's no need to spend time or money getting a radio that has that in it. You can just as well get a cheaper used radio if you find someone you trust to get it from.
I think Chris is getting upset to me. He says, I don't know anything about HF. I'm telling people to get off the lawn. I'm not saying that, dude. I'm just saying that it's like, there's so many different aspects of the hobby. So, I guess I don't know anything about HF. That's why I've got 25,000.
He did not say that you don't know anything about HF, but it's just saying that to someone that doesn't know anything about HF is kind of the get off my lawn statement.
There you go. All right, so, misunderstanding there. But like I said, I think it's cool. I just think that it's just like FM. Unless you want to operate FM, do you need a radio that operates FM? It's the same thing.
But the thing is, though, as a new operator,
until you have it, you don't know if you like it. That's the problem.
Yeah, as a new operator, you're not going to know what you enjoy or not enjoy. I did not think I would enjoy digital modes, but I do at home. Portable, I enjoy almost exclusively sideband operation. But I'm the kind of guy, I've always played with computers. I like computers. I like tinkering with stuff. And if you're that kind of person, playing around with digimodes, and there's a lot more to digital modes than FD8, just so that's been said.
Yeah.
And I have to agree. And from my perspective, I never thought that I would actually have the need for a microphone when I got licensed. What drew me into this was all the interesting low power digital modes. And it's hard to believe now that I go on a week's vacation to climb mountains to talk to people for summits on the air. But for the first month, I spoke to 3 people on the radio. I did the DXCC, the DXCC award in I think 28 days on digital. But things change. You get interested in things you thought you might never have an interest in, and that can even happen for Volt. I bet you when we get to the bottom of the solar cycle, Volt, we're going to convince you to try FT8, and you're going to love it.
I'm just going to get a big Italian amplifier.
Yeah. But didn't we try that in one of the earlier shows that we tried to get Volt on?
That was kind of what spurred the European Ham Radio show, the show that started, and I think that was Tobias's idea, the European Digimode Net.
I remember that. I was in Poland. That was a fun show. And I was I'm like, I'm here to learn, guys. Teach me this. And at the end of that, I was like, I'm going to go drink now.
I just want to say, regarding Charlotte's question about how much she should spend, we have an open slot with no topic next week. Should we do the 1,000 euro Radio Shack challenge? See who can build a complete shack for 1,000 euros and be a little bit creative and come up with their solutions and present them quickly.
Do we get to order it afterwards?
Let's see if we can get some sponsorships.
It sounds like a good idea, because there are so many things. Like you mentioned power supply earlier, and of course cables and so on if you're working indoors. If you're working outdoors and shipping your radios around, you need a battery, and a good battery. You need somewhere to pack it, or somehow to pack it, or to carry it. Maybe you need a chair. Maybe you need something else. And there's money starts running really quickly unless you manage to limit yourself.
It's the accessories that kills you, not the radio purchase. It's everything you didn't think about. Yeah.
Luckily, we have our limiting yourself coach sitting between us, Morten.
Yeah, I will buy it so you don't have to. That's my rule.
Abe says, hang out with your local clubs if you can. Find someone nearby that does BOTA and do that. Talk to other hams. Try their equipment. Figure out what resonates with you and doesn't resonate with you. That's a cheaper way than buying a lot of expensive equipment, which you might not utilize to the full.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this before on the show, but the first radio I bought was completely wrong for the purpose when I was a fresh hat, because basically I got differing advice, and for me, having a tuner was absolutely critical, I thought, in a portable radio. So I bought the only portable-ish thing with a tuner I could find, which was that Kenwood TS480Z, which is absolutely not a portable radio. You can lug it around. But that again, that was a typical first buyer mess up, because I had differing advice. Nobody could agree on whatever was correct, and I had no idea. So that's also I think we barely touched on it, but do we need a tuner in a portable radio or in your first radio?
I have a plan on a video series on that coming up in the next coming months. But I'm going to say, as a new ham, yes, you need a tuner.
Yeah, and I agree that it helps you. It's an aid that helps you with getting started and making sure things work without damaging your radio. So if you can get it and have it internal to your radio, again, there's less mess, there's less cabling to fix around. You don't need an extra external box, although that it's of course better in some opinions. There's no manual fiddling with anything, it just works out of the box. You just press a button. So
absolutely. I see that Simon here asks, he has a lot of antenna restrictions at his QTH. He's looking at an ATAS to put up to play radio. And which radio would we recommend? I have not really extensively tried. I've tried all the radios. I haven't extensively tried them.
If that's his choice, then obviously he's got money for a proper radio. So get the FTDX10. It's the best.
It depends on
best of the three.
Is that going to be a home radio or a mobile radio? If you're going to use it at home and you can afford the FTDX10, go for the FTDX10.
Yeah.
And I see his next comment here. He runs the G90 portable, so Walt should be proud here.
Well, you know what, we're talking about the under $1,000. You can make a nice setup for under $1,000, even with a radio other than a G90. You could, let's just say you take an FT891, get a power supply, coax, and a decent antenna out the back window, and you've got a home shack for under $1,000.
Yeah, let's set some ground rules for that, though. It has to be new equipment. Anyone disagree on that?
Yes, I would like to disagree on that because it limits the things you can do. I'd like to include used equipment as well.
It's kind of hard, though, to differentiate the used markets among a huge handful of countries.
But just go on. I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. Whatever you find used on, say, eBay or wherever.
I was gonna say that as well.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. That's good. And you need to have a 2 meter 70 centimeter option in there. So you need to have 2 meters and 70 HF 2 meters 70 centimeters.
All three. Okay. So
yeah.
Not just an HF phone check. Yeah.
And
now we're talking. Now we're making.
Surprise! I've done that already. I did that in a stream earlier because I think it was Smoking Ape that has the challenge of how to put together a $1,000 shack. And
but can we, since we're the European ham radio show, can we call that 1,000 euros?
Yeah, 1,000 euros.
Yeah.
Should we go for a home shack or a portable one, or both?
Let's see if we can, as far as we can stretch it, I think is the option. If we can make something that'll work for both, even better.
Yep. That's a cool challenge.
Yes.
Yeah. And Charlotte asked if the G90 has a tuner. Yes, it has probably the best tuner on the market.
It will tune anything.
Or nothing.
Yeah, it does require that you have a bit of coax or whatever put in there, but I haven't found many things it hasn't tuned yet.
I tuned my G90 without any coax in it. It was awfully quiet on the band, though, but it got a tune.
It tuned the plug.
I successfully connected my 6 meter delta loop to my NFET half wave today and then tuned up the empty coax afterwards.
And James is asking if we have a Discord to post it to. And yes, we do. We have hamshow.eu/Discord. It's quite an active community in there. So if anybody...
Should we make a channel for this challenge so people can give their suggestions in there?
Yes.
Put it on the Discord. Put it, yeah.
We'll make a channel. We'll make a 1,000 euro shack challenge channel in there, and people can post their suggestions.
Yeah, it's already made.
Yeah, I saw it popped up now.
So we'll write down or summarize these rules and put them in there so that you can do.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fun to see the different things people come up with, because I have a feeling there's probably going to be a few...
You wrote 100 euro shack challenge. That is really a tough one.
I have a feeling it's going to be a few of these ones, like the cheaper bow things.
Yeah, you can get 25 bow things.
You can get the green screen friendly radio for that.
Yeah, 100 euro.
But you laugh about that, but where I live at in Virginia, I'm literally, I can look out my window and see the local repeater. So I have just my 6 meter and HF thing there, and I have a little bow thing sitting on the top of my desk. So I can sit there in the room and hit the repeater and talk from where I'm at when I get on the Tuesday night net or whatever. So the bow thing's not out of the question. If you got your HF and then you want to add the UHF VHF in it, I say we allow the bow thing.
Yeah. Of course. And I'm going to say anything goes. Besides, you need to have 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and you need everything to be able to get on the air and make a QSO. So you need coax, you need an antenna, or at least parts to build an antenna.
Yeah, and you need a power source.
Yep. You need a power source, not necessarily a power supply, but you need a power source.
Yeah. So, question for you over there, Walt, in the States. Baofangs, are they legal for anything else than ham radio use?
That's so funny. I saw this meme today you guys may have seen it too. The picture of the United States, and every state is colored green, and it says what states are the Baofeng UV5R legal to use without a license in the USA, and they're all green. And at the bottom of it said all 50 if you're not a little bitch.
Yeah, I saw a.
No, seriously though, Baofeng makes GMRS radios too.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a UV5R in another YouTube video or channel. The guy that does all of the mining down in Cerro Gordo, and he had lots of these ones for communications, or at least one of them for communications within the mine. And I thought, he's not a ham. At least he hasn't said so. So that's kind of interesting. Of course, it's underground in a mine, so probably not gonna disturb anyone.
But to answer your question, the Baofeng obviously you can use it on the ham bands as a ham, the programming. I think it's okay for GMRS. We have what's called FRS, which is and from what I understand, you cannot use the Baofeng on FRS.
I think the FRS regulations are the same as the PMR 446 regulations in Europe. It needs to be half a watt. It needs to have a fixed antenna that's non-removable. It cannot be user programmable and so on.
Yeah.
That being said, before becoming a ham, I might have had a Baofeng that I used on the PMR 446 band.
Yeah, but that was when they were open, so you can program them freely from the front panel. And I think they removed that at least for a little while. But
you need to hold a couple of keys when you turn it on, and then you can open it.
Yeah, but also here that you could buy them, for example, as hunting radios. Some hunting stores brought them in, and so on. So they were used for quite a lot of things.
Yep. So, but I'm looking forward to the €1,000 ham shack challenge. See what we can get up with. Let's see, Tobias. Visit a club meeting. You walk out with 14 used handsets. They're donated by the local geezer. Yeah, you do. I have so much stuff that people have brought to the club. And I figured since no one else wants it, I'm going to take it home and take good care of it, put it on the shelf, and I've never used it.
Yeah.
I have an entire floor for stuff like that. It's called downstairs in my house.
There's a junk sale coming up in my club, and lots of clubs do that. And it's called junk sale for a reason. So don't go there asking or hoping to get a functioning new radio. But if you're into fixing stuff and so on, you can get it. Or, of course, in some cases, you can get radios that actually work, or antennas, or masts, or whatever. Like, there's anything in those.
Also in clubs, we have to admit that the ham radio community, it's not the youngest bunch in the world. So sadly, some of us die quite routinely, and often clubs will be left to sell the radios of Silent Keys, which is what we call the dead hams. And you can sometimes make a really good deal that way. So talk to your club and see if they have any radios like that as well. It's a good idea.
Yeah. You got a mail this week as well, I believe, Bob, about that. So
no, I did. No.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, yes, I did. I did. Yep.
Yeah. So there's often things coming up like that. Also, that there was an amazing deal for some ham radios over where I live a few weeks back, where they went from selling them to close to new price to suddenly selling all three radios for €300 or so, which sounded a bit too good to be true. But that was also a Silent Key situation.
Yeah, and let's see. I was going to mention one more. Yeah, if you're ever at the Hamfest, though, you can make good deals. But if you get licensed yesterday and go to a Hamfest tomorrow, you should probably bring an experienced ham with you.
Yeah,
it's like buying a used car. You don't want to buy your first car after you got your license.
I think that advice that goes for wherever and whenever you go to buy a radio. If you're not experienced yourself, bring someone that is with you. That's the best advice we can give.
both for quality and price, because you can see some people trying to sell something for almost the same as you can get the same radio for new.
Or more than you can get, you pay for it new. I've seen those as well.
So there are some interesting caveats there, and people are helpful. If you ask around, you'll probably do that. Also in our Discord, of course, we'll try to help out.
Yep, but, and our Discord is a friendly community. It's never been moderated, which is we've been up for more than a year and it's never been moderated. So we're a friendly community that try to help you around. We might not know the answers to everything, but at least we can try to help and discuss it among ourselves
and we have
come
opinions.
And come up
lots of
come
opinions.
up with the answer and the answer to today's question on how to buy your first HF radio. It is, as always, it depends.
Yep.
But bring an experienced ham with you.
Yep, that is
a
probably
credit
the
card.
best
That's
advice
what we learned
ever.
today.
Yep.
And get the G90 or the 7300.
Yep. So, 3 good pieces of advice there. It should be on the license test.
Yep. Speaking about that, we're at the end of the show. We'll do the €1,000 ham radio challenge next week. So that's going to be it's going to be a fun week to try to get the spreadsheet to actually add up to something less than €1,000.
Yeah.
But it's going to be fun. So let's see what we come up with. I know Walt's going to go for the G90, so no surprises there.
We'll see.
I might surprise you.
I might go for the G90 as well, because when you got to keep a tight budget like that, you kind of don't have a lot of options if you're going to get new nonetheless.
Morton, get off my lawn.
And on that bombshell, we're just going to say 7-3 and thank you all for a fantastic hour of the European Ham Radio Show. See you guys next week with the €1,000 Ham Radio Challenge. 7-3, guys.
7-3.
Bye.